Conference, thank you for such a warm welcome. And I have to say, talk of 25 years of elected service, gosh, that makes me feel rather old. But you know, I did the maths to work out what that time period equates to in the most modern, short unit of political measurement, Liz Trusses. And it seems my 25 years is 207 trusses. Or is that 104 lettuces? Now, I want to, before I say anything else, I want to say a word about Dee. Because Dee was already an established member of the London Assembly when I was first elected, and I learned so much from her. And she was then the chair of the Assembly's committee in charge of overseeing the London Olympics and Paralympics. And it's no exaggeration to say that thanks to Dee, we Liberal Democrats played a major part in delivering a safe and successful Games in 2012. So Dee, thank you. And what a different Britain we had back in 2012. And what a different world. Barack Obama set for re-election for his second term. The European Union awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace, Reconciliation, Democracy and Human Rights. And Britain, at home, with its multicultural, multifaceted, multi-talented self, and celebrating 65 Olympic and 120 Paralympic medals. And remember, it all started with that amazing Olympic ceremony, showcasing modern Britain and its history, our role bringing about the industrial and technological revolutions, our record providing universal healthcare to all, with the NHS as an example to the world. Our cultural influence around the globe, from the Spice Girls to Queen Elizabeth II, from James Bond to Mr. Bean. You know, it really felt like a heyday that everything liberalism celebrates about a world city. And then in 2016, I was your London mayoral candidate, and I stood on this very platform, setting out a vision of that liberal London leading in Britain and of a liberal Britain leading in Europe. But it was not to be. These past 8 years have instead been tough on that liberal vision and tough on so many marginalised people in our communities. Xenophobia normalised, division entrenched, internationalism abandoned, trust, trade and tolerance all dangerously undermined. You know, that's what Brexit and this Conservative government has done to our country, and we will never forgive them. And in my early days at City Hall, I saw the rot set in when one Boris Johnson was Mayor of London. You know, his shtick was to make himself a bit of a joke, dangling over Victoria Park on ill-fated zip wires, shaking hands and smooching babies 1 minute, and then cycling with Terminator Arnie the next. But underneath the bluster were worrying signs. That same defiance of rules and basic standards of probity, that was there. His friends would appear on taxpayer-funded trips and be awarded public funding. His same vanity and mendacity, dressed up in a sheepdog's haircut, that was there too. £43 million spent thinking about a garden bridge, which would have been in the wrong place, wasn't funded to go all the way across the Thames, and would have been closed much of the time. And then there was £300,000 that Boris threw down the drain, buying and converting water cannon that couldn't and shouldn't ever be used in Britain. Sadly, that was a bitter taste of what was to come. Like Arnie, Boris would be back, leading the Leave campaign, then in number 10, peddling lies about Brexit and holding all of us in contempt by breaking lockdown rules and lying about that too. He really is a national disgrace. And it's one of the greatest tragedies of the London morality that the two most recent incumbents, Boris and Sadiq, have seen it as just a lay-by on their political journey. For Boris, a stepping stone to Downing Street. For Sadiq, a desert island hiding out from Jeremy Corbyn. But like Boris, Sadiq has been a chameleon mayor, in favour of Heathrow expansion 1 minute, opposed to it the next, helping City Airport to expand in 2016, but condemning it in 2022. You know, he said he'd be the greenest mayor ever, but he is architect and builder-in-chief of a new motorway under the Thames, the Silvertown Tunnel. And you won't believe this, but he's telling cyclists that they should dismount and put their bikes on a bus if they want to use this new river crossing. You know, it's the kind of things that would make 1960s town planners blush. You know, our message is simple. New motorways and new runways have no place in modern London. But you know, perhaps the most shameful part of Sadiq's record is on the police. Both the Metropolitan Police and the London Fire Brigade are rightly in special measures. Where has Sadiq been these last 7 years? Where was he when police were arresting women at a vigil on Clapham Common? Where is he? Where is he when police are endlessly stopping young black men on London streets? No wonder just 1 in 3 Londoners trust their police. You know, Sadiq's invisibility means he might as well be back on that desert island, this time hiding not from Jeremy Corbyn, but from his own failures. And my worry is that the Met is really beyond repair. It's distrusted, discredited, broken. So I say to the Commissioner, this is the Met's last chance to reform. And as a party, I think we need to be seriously looking at what was done in Northern Ireland to transform their police service. It's time to rebuild London's community policing service from the ground up. And in Westminster, we should continue to call out the whole structure of the Greater London Authority too, a mayor who is powerful in his own court, but a feeble figure in the country, and an assembly which does a great job of scrutiny, but too often lacks the power it needs. And after all, the GLA is Labour's model, the Tony Blair model of devolution. Give them autonomy, Lord, but not yet, and only with our say-so. And Labour doesn't seem to have learned anything from those mistakes. Just look at Keir Starmer's timid speech this year on devolution. He says he wants to give communities a right to request new powers. Since when were rights something you had to request? You know, I like to call Keir Starmer the Dairy Lee slice of British politics. unrelentingly mild, endlessly triangulating, and ultimately doomed to disappoint. That kind of half-hearted approach, maybe you can have a bit more power if you ask nicely. It's just not equal to the task of reforming Britain. Now, we here all regard the Brexit referendum result as a tragedy. And the history books will argue for decades about what people who voted to leave were really saying. But one message I took from it was one of frustration, a sense that politics doesn't really respond to what people need or what they worry about. And what a travesty it is to see powers coming back from Brussels, but now stuck in Whitehall. We Liberal Democrats have such a different approach. I think back to when I was a councillor. We took control of Southwark Council. And, as Lib Dems do all around the country, we devolved power and budgets to local communities and councillors. That is what taking back control should really look like. And the lesson is that only real revolution in local decision-making will be a Liberal Democrat revolution. Now, we have seen in these past 25 years how strong institutions have developed in Scotland and Wales, proper parliaments with real power. It's time to apply that successful approach all around England. Why not give the capital and other parts of England too real parliaments that can run health and education and railways and infrastructure and housing? And why not give those new institutions, elected with fair votes, of course, the ability to raise and spend money? Without that kind of radical thinking, we will never have a country and a politics that recognises the difference between Berwick and Birmingham, or between metropolitan London and rural Lincolnshire. Conference real devolution is the only way we truly let people take back control. And just look at what Whitehall has given us recently. Schools crumbling, rivers full of sewage, and cancer patients stuck on waiting lists. By contrast, look at the brilliant work of our London leaders, Ruth Dombey, Andreas Kirsch and Gareth Roberts. In Sutton, developing new cancer drugs alongside the Royal Marsden. In Kingston, developing a new green energy network. And in Richmond, establishing a £3 million fund to help with the cost of living crisis. And at City Hall, we Liberal Democrats have protected the poorest Londoners by blocking Sadiq's cuts to key bus routes, by introducing a 1-hour bus ticket, and by ensuring that every station on the Elizabeth line is step-free and accessible to all. And on policing, we've shone a light on the rot at the core of the Met. We've seen Cressida Dick out of the door and stood up against Boris's cuts to the police and safer neighbourhood teams. And we've acted as a voice for the voiceless, successfully campaigning to get Dalaride back on London streets, backing leaseholders in the fight to make buildings safe in the wake of Grenfell, and backing young black men who have been stopped and stopped again by the Met. That is the difference politics can make. And it's why we need more Liberal Democrats ready to serve. Now, across England, at our fantastic by-elections, we have shown what we can do these past couple of years. And in a few weeks, with your help, I know we can do it in mid-Bedfordshire too. And then let's take on Labour in London. Let's get our amazing team, led by Rob Blackie, with my colleague Hina Bakari, and Arena, Gareth, Chris, and all of our other brilliant candidates elected to the GLA. And then let's all play our part in driving Ed's yellow bulldozer through that blue wall every day until a general election. Now, conference, I want to say thank you to all our MPs in London, our fantastic leader, Ed Davey, to Sarah, to Manira, and to Vince, Tom, Paul, Lynn, Sarah, and of course, Simon Hughes. And thank you to all of our councillors battling away for their communities. And thank you to all of you for everything you have done to support me. And whilst I am standing down from the London Assembly, I'll still be with you every step of the way. Now, out of the ashes of this Tory government, there is going to be much to rebuild. Relationships with Europe to repair, communities to rejuvenate, a planet to save. But the spirit of 2012 is not dead. That liberal vision, a happy, proud, successful country, that's once again within our grasp. So let's reel it in the only way we Liberal Democrats know how, by working together, building together, and winning together once again. Thank you very much indeed.